Hey folks, this is Jason Lewis, the producer of the From the Shadows podcast. I just want to remind you about our website, fromtheshadowspodcast.com. We have a Facebook page. We would appreciate it if you like and follow. Also, join our discussion group on Facebook called After the Shadows. We have a Twitter feed. Please follow us on Twitter. It can be found with @podcast_from. Follow us on Instagram @From the Shadows Podcast. We have a YouTube channel. Go to the search bar of YouTube and put From the Shadows Podcast, and please subscribe to that channel. We are also on the Odyssey Radio Network, and we can be found there at odyssey1.com. We're still on the traditional podcatchers that everybody loves to listen to us on. We get a lot of feedback, so please rate the podcast and communicate with whether you're on Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or Google Podcasts. We're there, and we appreciate it when you leave comments for us. We also have a Patreon page. It can be found at www.patreon.com/FromTheShadows. You can receive books, stickers, coffee mugs, and special content just for our Patreon subscribers. Check it out for yourself and see what packages that we have to offer. Well, that's all I have for you right now, folks, and thanks for being a part of the From the Shadows podcast family. So with that being said, let's get this episode started.
So, Howard, I see that you were at your county fair tonight. You sent me some interesting. Was that tractor or truck pull?
That was neither. That was that was a bunch of tractors sitting around they call it the midway, but don't get your maybe quarter way, but it was a figure 8 race where they take these little Hornet cars, you know what I'm talking about, and race around. The problem is after about halfway, 2/3 of them are broke down, so they got to go in there with something with the forks and scoop out the bad cars.
Well, it's hard to believe the county fairs are already in full swing. I know ours here in where we're at in Ohio is in a couple weeks. So we've been my stepdaughter's been walking her pig. She got a couple pigs.
Sure, yeah, my son wants a pig.
Yeah, a couple show pigs, and my stepsister and brother-in-law raise show pigs. Now the thing that stinks, and I know we've talked a lot about horses on this podcast, but she's got a horse. She rides, does Western and what all the fancy English stuff,
right?
Showing horses. Last weekend, the horse acted a little funny. We had the vet come out, and it's got a neurological disease, like it's sick.
The horse does, or the horse does?
The horse does. So the horse.
What's wrong with it?
It's EMP or something. EPM. I think it's EPM is what it's called. It's
and is
it's something that's caused from rats and possums taking a crap on their hay up in the hay mow or whatever, and then them eating it, and I guess the horse can have it in its system for up to 2 years before.
And what's the diagnosis or prognosis, or what happens?
The horse is. I got it out of its stall last weekend. Take it out, put it out in the pasture, and it acted like it couldn't see, and it was stepping like real gingerly, and so it just causes it to have a loss of balance, sort of.
So does it go away, or is it treatable, or what?
It's one of those things where you treat it, and there's a certain percentage that it goes away, certain percentage that it half goes away, and a certain percentage that you got to put the horse down. And none of the percentages seem to be very high. although the percentage of putting the horse down seems a lot higher than it should be. So, it kind of stinks for old Izzy, but she's kind of she's been pretty good through it. So I think she's going to show another girl's horse that no longer shows horses. So it won't be a complete.
So what are you gonna do with old Trigger? What's the horse's name?
Sizzler. I guess we're just gonna see how she does, if she pulls through.
What's her name? Scissors?
Sizzler, like
Russell, like Sizzler, like the steakhouse.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe it's a poor choice. That's a poor choice.
Didn't we talk about eating horse one day? Didn't we talk about eating horse a couple weeks ago?
Well, we talked about eating horse. I don't know if we ever talked.
Not on the podcast.
Not on the show. No.
Oh my gosh,
no.
I don't know. Do we need to go down that road? Because you know what, you were talking about bodybuilding.
Yeah, we're talking about Todd, who's been on the podcast.
Well, let me
bodybuilding. Yeah.
I've got I don't even know how I segue this into, for the people that don't know, or the new listeners or whatever. Me and Grover here, we talk a lot on the phone, and a lot of times I tell him stories, and I can't remember whether I've told him, in confidence, or whether I've told him on the podcast. And we do what, 10 minutes worth of prep work before we start, right? Yeah, maybe 10 minutes worth of prep work. So where we started 10 minutes ago, I'm about to segue, because you have tripped me with these multiple topics, that I have a bodybuilding, horse eating story to tell. So if you want to tell Todd's bodybuilding story first, I don't know if we were going to do that, or if you're going to tell half of it, or part of it, or all of it, or if you want to go right to the horse eating.
I will start the story, and you can segue into the bodybuilding, horse eating, because once I tell Todd's story, I'm not sure we can,
we might get canceled.
Might get canceled. Okay. So
we might get canceled. So we'll have a new name out, and we will change the name. Yeah, we'll come back as something else.
Come back fresh. So to get to the bodybuilding story from Todd, I'll give a little bit of a build up here to. So Todd, our dear friend, my dear friend Todd, has his mom passed away last week, and it's been in the last 5 months. He's lost his father and his mother, and so today, and like a lot of people know that listen, Todd used to own a garbage business as parents started, and he still now works for the company that he sold the family garbage business to. So kind of my ritual every morning going to work, I give him a call because it's the end of his day. And so today I call him on my way to work, and today is his mom's calling hours. So he did not go to work, but he was out running, and then he was going to go get a massage. And, I'm going to tiptoe around this delicately, but my preference for getting a massage, and I do have somebody work on my legs and stuff to try to keep me moving, is to have a woman do it. Okay. Nothing against a man doing it. I just feel more comfortable having a lady do it. Todd, on the other hand, goes to see a gentleman who by the way is a big fan of the podcast. Dr. Clint.
Okay.
Is his name. Okay. I won't use his last name. I don't
like a real doctor.
He's a massage. He's got he's the guy that Todd goes to. So, Clint, thanks for being a fan, Clint. We appreciate it. However, when Todd starts describing to me what Clint does to him, it just never quite.
Little Shawshank going on, or what?
Right.
Well, now hold on a second. Now,
I think
defense,
it's.
hold on. In Clint's defense,
Yeah.
Clint doesn't need any defense. But now, I had an old prisoner one day was telling me that I don't even know how to say this. I don't even know if we should even go down this road because I was, I had an uncle named Randy that was gay. Okay, and he's passed away. So I was raised around a gay guy my entire life. And I'm not talking the modern gay guy that, who's the dude that's on the Big Bang Theory?
The Parsons guy?
The gay guy. What's his name? Jim Parsons? Does that sound right?
Yeah, Jim Parsons, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not the sophisticated, educated, smooth gayness that the anti-bullying world has created, right?
Yeah.
My Uncle Randy was the picked on, beat up dude that decided to stay gay because he was tough, right? You know what I mean? If you were gay in the 70s, buddy, you were tough, right? I mean, that's just the way it was. You know what I mean?
Well, especially where we grew up.
Yes, yeah. Put that caveat in there. These guys aren't walking around Lower East Side of Manhattan or San Francisco. These guys are walking out in the country, and you know, the wrong. If you said something to him, he would probably ignore you most of the time. But if you ever approached him, or what was that movie, Boys Don't Cry, or something like that? Remember what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? Let me tell you, this old boy would put a shellacking on you. I mean, you know what I'm saying? He would. I don't know if he would kick your teeth in, but he would damn sure do everything up to that point if you made bones about him being gay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But how he turned gay has got a horse in it. So my dad come back from Vietnam, gave him a pony. Now, one man's pony is another man's horse. Depends on who tells the story at family get-togethers. Some people say it's a horse. Some people call it a pony. Now, I think they're calling it a pony just because the gay guy was riding it, right? So,
which is unfair, totally unfair.
which is unfair. You know what I mean? So not only was Randy gay, but he was a gay cowboy, which is, that's just a little unique space to occupy back then, in 76 or 74 or 5, whatever it was. So he was riding this pony across the blacktop, and it gets confusing on whether he was trying to beat this car across or the car spooked him or whatever. But somehow he came off of the horse and was struck by the automobile, right?
Oh, okay.
Yes. So they put him in a body cast. Remember the old, you know what I mean? Real,
yeah.
So he was in a body cast like 6 or 8 weeks. And when they cut the cast off of him, now this is their words, not my words. He was gay when they cut the cast off of him. So they blamed him turning gay on getting hit by the car. Right?
Okay.
So you remember when the big healthcare debate was going on with Obamacare or whatever, forced healthcare, and I seen all these old white guys or whatever saying, they would argue about healthcare, saying you're one accident away from financial ruin. Remember they always say that? You're one accident. And I used to think, dude, you're one accident from turning queer. I mean, you got bigger fish to fry than worry about whether you're going broke or not, because you had the wrong car hit you, and you be gay, right?
Jeez.
Well,
I get.
Now the sad part is, my old man, being my old man in the 70s, he killed the horse. So yeah, that was a capital punishment on something like that. So the horse is not.
Because he didn't want the horse to cause another accident.
I don't know if the horse was hit too, or I don't know. You know what I mean? Because everybody was traumatized, right? You got, your brother, your son, whoever, depending on where you're at in the family tree, laying out in the highway, getting hit by whatever it was. And in the 70s, there was no 911. You had to go in and call, and the ambulance looked just like the hearse. You know what I mean? And I never got the, and when I say they, big family, 11 brothers and sisters. The two things that they talk about is Randy turning gay and Jimbo shooting the horse. But they never say did he have a broke leg, or you know what I mean? There's got to be more to the story, right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
got
of course.
there's
You
got
just don't shoot a horse. You just don't
I
shoot the
don't know.
horse.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I that's just one of those things, you know. I
Well,
don't know how we got here, but that's where we're
I
at.
well, anyway, anyway,
Yeah, you were going to tell the
it's
Todd story,
yeah, yeah,
oh,
yeah. So yeah, and so so because Todd and I have been friends since we were 6. Okay, so there's a level of teasing going on,
sure.
and and so he's telling me how good it feels, what Clint does to him, and I don't even really have to say anything, and he knows, like, I'm gonna just tease him or whatever. And so I'm just like, Todd, you just got to quit talking about it, or else I'm just gonna, because if you put it on a tee, I'm gonna make a joke, okay? And I'm not homophobic or anything, but I know it makes him uncomfortable that I just, I can make a joke out of every single thing he says. It's kind of a skill, okay? Doesn't matter what, it just happens that the subject of him getting a massage by Clint. Well, so keep in mind, we're standing here at his mother's calling hours. And I think, okay, his mom would probably appreciate us having fun and not crying and, whatever. Um, so he says, "Hey, I got another story along, these lines." And I'm just like, are you sure? Like, do you want to put it on a tee for me again? You sure you want to tell another story? He goes, "Yeah, I gotta tell the story." So he Todd, fitness buff, always has been. When we were 19, did his first bodybuilding competition, and I don't know how many people listening in the audience have ever done a bodybuilding competition, but it sucks. You can't eat what you want to eat. You got to be real strict. It's just, and when you don't fill your body, this is what I think as Americans we don't understand. When you don't fill your body with garbage, you really don't feel very good for a while until your body gets used to it. You know what I'm saying? Like eating good, like you should, so that we're not all fat and overweight, is it takes a toll on your body, to get you back into the right frame of, right where you're supposed to be. So Todd, he'd do these bodybuilding competitions. He would just be a bear because he was always hungry because he couldn't eat a hamburger. He couldn't eat have ice cream or a bag of chips like we did when we were that age. So he gets to the bodybuilding competition, after like 12 weeks or whatever it is. He said they're all new guys getting ready to do it. And at that time, you covered yourself like a baby oil or something. Okay. So that helped you look good under the lights. And he said, so he's in there with all these young first time bodybuilders, and they have overdone it on the baby oil to the point where they go out there and the judge says, "Hey, I'm just going to stop everybody, go back, towel off a little bit, and come back out." Okay. It's because they've just overdone it. So he said that's when he's 19. When he's 40, he decides he's going to do another bodybuilding competition just to prove, because he's the kind of guy, I'm going to run a marathon, puts a goal out there. So he wanted to do a bodybuilding competition when he turned 40. He said this time around, it's not baby oil, but it's Pam, like to cook with. You know what I'm saying? That's what they had backstage for you to shower cough up. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, you're back there spraying Pam all over yourself, and it doesn't matter what you do. There's parts of your body you can't reach. Okay. Listen, we're at calling hours. His daughters are sitting there. I'm starting this conversation, starting to make me feel a little uncomfortable, just because we're talking about reaching places on your body
With Pam.
and with Pam, and I'm a little, even I think his mom might even have shifted in the casket a little bit. I think she was starting to get a little uncomfortable too. So he says there's some spots on his back he can't get, and this voice comes up behind him and says, "Hey, would you like me to rub that in for you?" So as it's sitting there on the tee for me, I'm like, you're not really gonna tell me this, are you? And he goes, "Oh yeah." He goes, "Yeah." This guy comes up and says,
Stranger.
strange guy, doesn't even turn around to look at the guy. Okay, he just says, "Yeah." He goes, "Because at this time, it's the same deal. We've been training. We're here. I just want to get this stuff rubbed in and get out on stage." And so he goes, "Yeah, sure." He says, so the guy starts rubbing his back. And he keeps rubbing his back. And then he keeps rubbing his back. And he said he finally thought to himself, okay, so about 5 more seconds of him rubbing my back, and this is turning into him not helping me out, but him trying to maybe like pick me up. And he said, so he finally just had to say, "Okay, man, thanks. That's good. I'm good." And he said as he stepped away, he heard the same voice say to somebody else, "Hey, do you want me to rub that in for you?" And I'm just like, you know what? This is like an episode of Seinfeld or something where we're at your mom's funeral and you're telling me that you were getting taken advantage of by some strange guy in a Speedo wanting to rub a cooking
Well,
substance.
I was going to say, now,
It's your back.
when these girls get victimized, right? The guys are the first one to say, "Well, look how she was dressed," right?
Oh,
Or she was
yes.
asked for
Yeah.
it. Now, if you're a grown man spraying Pam on your backside, you're asking for it, as
Wearing a
far as I'm
Speedo.
concerned.
Yeah, wearing a Speedo.
Yeah, you are asking for it, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? What I started to say about the inmate, they always said, guys knew what to do because they knew what they liked. Does that make sense? So maybe that's why.
Yeah.
That's why, you know what I mean? That's why Dr. Clint is so good at his job,
Because he knows.
because he knows he's from a dude. Because everything, and whether you're talking art or food or anything else. I was talking sales today. Me and you were talking sales today, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Because you look through everything with the prism of your eyes, if you will, or your thoughts. Okay.
We're experienced.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So without a doubt, um, what you get in one place, it's from that person, the giver. Maybe that's what they'll. Who knows? So I don't know. I don't know. It's not necessarily what you think, right?
Hey, listen, all I know is that
This is what. Go ahead.
Todd loves Dr. Clint. Does a great job, but I
But
like
you
the
have
lady.
a woman
I,
massage
I like I
person.
like the lady that does me. And
Hey, so and
I
that's
gotta be
where I hope.
honest.
Go
I
ahead.
gotta be honest. There's nothing sexual about it. Um, she has had me in tears more than once, and maybe I'm afraid that Dr. Clint might have me in tears all the time.
Maybe,
I
I don't
don't
know.
know.
I
I don't
just this is what I was trying to process. pre-show when we were broaching the topic of whether we were going to mention the gay word, okay? And the fact that you guys both go to massage therapists, I find interesting, if not troubling, because I mean, you guys are my age, right? And down here in the Ozarks, when I understand you got a rough job, he's got a rough job, you know what I mean? And you work hard and your body's sore and your muscles are sore and stuff, you go get a drink or you go smoke a little weed, or in my case, you eat some junk food and sit there and watch a little TV, okay? But go and let some stranger pat you down, with or without Pam or cooking oil or freaking bacon grease for that matter. Because I tell you what, now you down here in the Ozarks and you let some strange woman rub you down with baby oil, and
We're going to jail, probably.
somebody's going to get all they want. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't even know where to even begin to find these people at down here that would do such things, you know? So more power to you.
Well, listen, the older you get, you gotta do some stuff so you can keep moving.
Well,
I mean,
I was thinking the reason why it's not down here. Finish what you were going to say, and then because I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, that's what I'm saying is I when you're used to be athletic and it hurts to walk down the stairs in the morning just to start the coffee maker, something's got to give. And I'm not smoking weed or going to have a drink. So I guess the next step is Pam. I need some
the
Pam.
The art of the massage. What I started to say is, they say America is 10 years behind. Like California is 10 years behind England, London. You know what I mean? And then the rest of America is another 10 years behind California. You know what I mean? So
we're
yeah,
in big trouble then. Everybody's in big trouble.
I thought maybe it's really, you're kind of, Ohio, as much as it's the same as Missouri, it's not. You had, it was probably settled. When did it get statehood?
1803, I believe.
Okay, so Missouri was 1821. So we're about 19 years behind Ohio. So in about 19 years,
you'll be getting massages.
Yes, dudes will be getting massages, or
you'll enter a master's.
I'm going to tell you,
bodybuilding competition.
From within 5 miles of my house, I can't think of a single massage place, but I can, off the top of my head, think of 3 strip clubs. So either
aren't those technically massage parlors?
I was going to say, we have a different class of man down here in the Ozarks. That's all I'm going to say.
You're telling me that Dr. Clint may not have the same sort of practice in the Ozarks as he does. He
probably doesn't climb on a pole like Right. Right, I don't know. Yeah, so I think let's just leave it there. Just bring me back next week, and I'll tell you about the exceptional 80-year-old bodybuilder horse eater that I met on a deal up in Wisconsin. So you just bring me back for next week's show. Remind me about it, okay?
I hope we're still allowed to come back. I don't think we said anything offensive. We're all
might be canceled.
We're all adults here.
Hey, I used to work with a cop that people would come out there and go, I'm gonna have your job. They get in your face and say, I'm gonna get your job, or I'm gonna have your job. And you know what I used to tell them? No, but you're not gonna get it until tomorrow. And back in the old days, you'd shove them around, or blackjack, or maybe spray them down with some mace, trip them up, smack them inside the head or whatever. But anyway, he used to say, "Yeah, but you're not going to have it until tomorrow. You won't get it until tomorrow." So I don't think we're going to get canceled for a couple of weeks.
Okay, well then till next week.
Next
and
week,
we'll pick it back up. All right.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.